Yo, what's going on, Clutch Crew sports fans? Welcome back to another NFL season preview episode. This is Eric, your ranting co host here. And in today's episode, I'm going to be talking about the Las Vegas Raiders. I'm very excited to bring this one to you guys just because the Raiders are a very interesting team. They're in a loaded division, so there's definitely a lot to talk about. As always, for my videos, I'm going to break down their offseason moves. We'll look at their key storylines, and then I'll take a look at their schedule and just kind of give you an idea on how I think the Raiders are going to do. So, with that being said, let's get right into it here. And first of all, looking at their departures versus their additions, I think it's pretty easy to see that the Raiders definitely got better. They did lose Casey Hayward to the Atlanta Falcons, and that's a significant loss at the cornerback position. But Casey Hayward is starting to get up there in age, so overall I don't think this loss is going to hurt the Raiders too much. I just don't know if they did enough to replace him, but at the same time, not the end of the world there. And then this other one here on the bottom right, if you're looking there, you can see Marcus Mariota. He also went to the Falcons. And, I mean, overall, in the grand scheme of things, this isn't a big deal because he was their backup. But, my main concern for the Raiders with this is just if Derek Carr were to go down, Jarrett Stidham is their backup. And he had no success under the Patriots. He had a chance to possibly take the job when Brady left and everything, and he wasn't able to do it. So not the biggest fan of Jarrett Stidham. I'd much rather have Marcus Mariota, but I understand why the Raiders weren't able to retain him. Just, with Mariota having the chance to go start somewhere, of course he's going to take that opportunity instead of being a backup on the team, but I just don't like what the Raiders did to replace him. I felt like they could have definitely done better than Stidham, so that's the reason why I've got Mariota on there. So hopefully, for the Raiders' sake, that Derek Carr stays healthy and they don't have to worry about that, because if he were to miss significant time, they will be in trouble. But then moving on to the additions, I mean, looking at the obvious one here, getting Davante Adams, acquiring him in that trade from the Packers. Sorry, Caleb, if you're listening to this, he's a big Packers fan that tunes into a lot of our episodes. I know he's still upset about losing him. And if I was a Packers fan, I would be too. I mean, this guy is arguably the best wide receiver in the league. If not, I mean, top 5 easily. That's not debatable. Top 3, maybe some people wouldn't have him in top 3, but I definitely do. I've been a big fan of his game. I like how he plays. He's not necessarily the fastest or the strongest per se wide receiver, but he's a great route runner, and he knows how to get open, and he knows how to get the job done. And he's going to be paired up with Hunter Renfrow and Darren Waller, and I think that's gonna. A lot of people are saying he's going to get worse because he's going from Aaron Rodgers to Derek Carr, and I can see that argument. But at the same time, there just weren't really too many other weapons that stood out in Green Bay. Davante Adams was getting double teamed a lot and still getting open, and I'm sure he's still going to get double teamed a good amount. But with Hunter Renfrow and Darren Waller out there, it's not like you can just double team him every time, because then those guys are also going to get open. So I'm very bullish on the Raiders' offense this year. I expect big things from their offense. And then looking at the defensive side of the ball, their big signing from the Cardinals was getting Chandler Jones, and pairing him up with Max Crosby that's going to be a great combo. I mean, obviously in the AFC West, you've also got Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack together. That might be a little bit better on paper than Max Crosby and Chandler Jones, but it's close. I mean, they're going to be one of the best pass rushing duos in the league for sure. So while the Raiders do have some weaknesses on defense, like edge rushing is the least of their worries. I expect big things out of them as well. The Raiders may not have had as many acquisitions as some other teams, but these two guys are very big acquisitions. So Overall, for the most part, I liked what the Raiders did in the offseason. And moving on to their key storylines now. So, first of all, can the Raiders compete in the loaded AFC West division? The Chiefs, while they lost Tyreek Hill, they lost Tyrann Mathieu, they're still a really good team. The Chargers only got better with Khalil Mack, J.C. Jackson. I mean, the Chargers are starting to look pretty loaded as well. And then, of course, the Broncos obviously acquire Russell Wilson, who's a huge upgrade at quarterback. That's been one of the Broncos over these last few years have had a fairly solid team. They just haven't had the quarterback to get the job done, and they have that now. So, are the Raiders going to be able to compete with these guys? And I think a lot of people say no, but I am pretty high on the Raiders. I haven't made my division picks yet. Like the Clutch Crew Sports guys, we always like to, before the season starts, we'll fill out, who we think will win each division and stuff like that. I like to wait closer to the season starts in case if, there's any big injuries or big suspensions or anything like that happen to come out. But even, if I were to, I don't really know what I would do right now if I had to make my predictions right this second. But I think the Raiders are a sleeper team to win this division this year. I don't think people are giving the Raiders enough credit. And it's understandable in the sense just because of how loaded the other teams in the division are. I mean, I think if you were to put the Raiders in some of these other divisions, like if they were in maybe like the AFC South or the NFC East or something like that, I think most people would have them as division favorites easily. But I think just people aren't giving. I think people are sleeping on them just because of the division that they're in. I think the Raiders can definitely compete. But the other key storyline, this is the only thing that has me a little worried about the Raiders, is just with Josh McDaniels being their new head coach. He, was the coach with the Broncos before and didn't have a lot of success there. Had some moments. And then, of course, he's been the offensive coordinator under Bill Belichick for a while. A lot of people thought he was going to just stay in that role until Belichick decides to retire, and then McDaniels would take the keys and become the new head coach in New England. But I guess I'm assuming he probably got tired of waiting for that and was looking for another opportunity. And I mean, the Raiders were a perfect opportunity. I mean, out of all of the head coaching vacancies that were available this year, other than maybe the Dolphins, I think the Raiders had the best situation. They weren't a team like the Jaguars or Texans who are, clearly in a rebuild. I think the Raiders were, well, I guess the Broncos too, obviously, with getting Russell Wilson. Otherwise, I wouldn't have said them. But, I mean, this is a good, if you're wanting to be a head coach and you've got your options in front of you, like the rate out of all the options that were available this year, you can't go wrong with the Raiders. I mean, he's coming into a great situation. He's got a loaded receiver room. He's got a solid quarterback, decent running backs. The O-line's my only concern with the Raiders, but offensively, but I still think their offensive line is good enough. They've got great edge rushers. They're going to be a very good team this year. The secondary is my concern. The offensive line's a little bit of a concern. But overall, this is a very good team. And so I think Josh McDaniels will do okay. With him having that, some issues in Denver when he was there, I worry about him a little bit. But hopefully for Raiders fans, he's learned from those mistakes. And, I'm sure, learning under Bill Belichick is always a good thing. And so hopefully he's ready to, be a head coach now and, improve over his previous performances. And looking at the Raiders' schedule now, in 2021, the Raiders were projected to win 7.5 games. They actually won 10. And then in 2022, they're projected to win 8.5. So I guess I'm just a little surprised that a team that won 10 games last year definitely got better than they on paper than they were the season before, but then they project them a game and a half less is very surprising to me. I guess the reason why I'm assuming is just because of how good their division got, and maybe they're worried about the new head coaching situation. Maybe that's why Vegas projected them to finish lower than they did last year. But I mean, to me, with the way the Raiders got better, I'm definitely taking the over on this. I don't know if they'll win over 10 again, though. I'm not saying that. Their schedule is very hard. As I've talked about already, the AFC West, they played all three of those teams twice, and they do have the AFC South, which is good. The AFC South is a weaker division. They do have the NFC West, which is obviously really good. You got the Rams, who just won the Super Bowl. The 49ers are looking to be pretty good again, but the NFC West I don't think is as daunting as it was before, just because the Rams obviously are a problem, but the 49ers, there's a lot of uncertainty with their quarterback situation. The Seahawks are obviously rebuilding, and I still don't even really know who their quarterback is going to be yet, between Geno Smith or Drew Lock. And then the good news for them too is they play the Cardinals in week 2. DeAndre Hopkins will still be suspended by then, and Kyler Murray last year was just not the same when DeAndre Hopkins was out. So I think them getting the Cardinals early in the year is a benefit. But the key games for the Raiders are going to be their divisional games. I think for the Raiders to get over this 8.5, get to more like the 10 games like that I'm thinking they can do, especially if they want to win the division, they're going to have to win these divisional games. Like, they don't need to win all of them, but I think they need to at least split, like go 3-3 at least. They can't go like 1-5 or something like that in their divisional games. That puts then too much pressure on them to have to win every other game. But if they can at least split the divisional games, I think they'll be fine. I like some of their chances with a lot of these other games. Even obviously I hate to say it, but with my Jaguars, that'll probably be a win for them. I don't expect the Jaguars to win that game, and I don't know. So that's gonna I guess wrap everything up here. Like I said, their projected wins is 8.5. I'm going over. I think they get more like 9 or 10, maybe a chance to get to 11. But like I said, I'm bullish on the Raiders this year. I think I'm higher on them than most people. I think a lot of people are sleeping on them, but I'm pretty bullish on the Raiders. So let me know down in the comments below. Like, am I crazy? Am I, is there something wrong with me? Like, or do you agree with me? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. So let me know. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already. We've been working pretty hard getting all this content out for you guys. We did a Sports Jeopardy recently, and Zach's been dropping college conference football previews, and then all three of us have been dishing out all these NFL team previews. So we've had a lot going on, putting in a lot of work. So anybody that subscribes and hits the like button, leave comments, we're grateful for all of that. So all right, guys, well, that's going to be the end of the episode. Appreciate you guys tuning in. And with that being said, peace.